Welcome, everybody, to Crossing the Line with Greg Heym, the only show hosted by Greg Heym. That's why you have to watch it, because, you know, I may pop in on some other shows, but this is definitely the place to be. It's season 2, episode 6, or as I like to call it, episode 54, because that sounds a little more impressive. We don't do any puny 24-episode seasons. We're working every week almost, unless there's a holiday on Monday, and next week is a holiday on Monday, so we won't have a show.
Yes.
Because I was smart enough to say I want to film on Monday, because that's when most of the holidays. And it's really, we're off for my birthday week.
Very true.
Also known as President's Day.
Pisces week.
It's Pisces week
for Greg.
Yes.
It's very important.
Send your cards, gifts. You can email me, ctl@bhsusa.com, if you want to send me gift cards or something like that.
Accepting all gifts.
We have Morgan Wilkins here.
Hello.
Did an outstanding job last time. We threw her in. We gave her like 5 minutes warning. So you're on the podcast.
I came in and I was invited back, so I must have gone okay.
Actually, everybody's out today. No,
yeah,
you did an excellent job.
Not here, right?
Mr. Wilkins, she did a fantastic job. That's why she's here, and we love having you. Today's February 10th. A little cold again this morning. Had some snow over the weekend.
Yep, it was in the 20s.
See? Who says we don't pay for effects? Ray, don't do that too much. You might lose oxygen and kill over. All right. So, all right. The weekend, we know we're all watching the Super Bowl. I was half right in my prediction. I said that the Chiefs would find a way to contain Saquon, which they did. He had like 20-something rushes for 50 yards.
Yep.
Nothing else, though. They decided, let's forget about everything else. And we don't even know who to throw the ball to, which team. So I guess the question is, when did you stop really paying attention to the game?
Probably, I would say like third quarter.
Yeah, I mean, the end of the first half, it
just got like sad.
Well, you know, when you got a game like that, you see a lot of blood. When I was a kid in the 80s, the NFC won virtually every year, and they were all blowouts. And it was never close. Like, you'd always have these big parties, and you know, back then we didn't have iPads and phones to distract us from the boring game that was going on. Yep. And it seemed to be a throwback to that. But congratulations to the Eagles. Let's see what the Philadelphia fans do to the city. I didn't see about any
polls last night doing what they do.
Well, I mean, somebody died the last time they celebrated. So let's hope, keep it respectable.
Hope that doesn't happen this time.
Yes. But enjoy it, celebrate, gloat,
Absolutely.
My team hasn't won since the year before I was born, but, I couldn't possibly be bitter about that.
The Chiefs didn't play great, but Philly also did play really well.
Their defensive line was in Mahomes' face the whole game, and that's how you beat a star quarterback. You get in his face and don't let him watch plays develop.
Yeah.
Even I think it was the second interception, he was hit while he was throwing the ball. And they capitalized on everything. Yeah.
No, they really did. They rose to the occasion, took advantage of it, and
they won
paid
it
off.
They won it, and they forced, when you get that desperation and you start to force passes and stuff like that, it gets ugly quick. Yeah. I mean, even if you look at the score, that does not convey how lopsided that was, because they did get some late touchdowns.
They did, actually, which is so Chiefs, like that's so them to like make these crazy plays, and Mahomes was still doing it. It just wasn't, it wasn't enough that Philly had such a lead at that point. Well,
Mahomes will just have to take comfort in the rings he already has.
Yes.
And, that he didn't make history.
He'll have more.
But no team has ever three-peated with Super Bowls. But they were the first team to make it to the Super Bowl to three-peat. The other teams did not. They had won 2 in a row. So there's a little bit of trivia for you. We are the research department. We got to know these things.
We have to give you the facts, always.
Oh, and just a follow-up to last week, we were talking about the terrible Luka Doncic trade. So what happens this weekend? Anthony Davis finally suits up for the Mavericks. He has the greatest first half like anybody's ever had. And then a non-contact injury. He's hurt his adductor, which is your hip. I know that because I had my hip replaced. There's an abductor and an adductor and a subtraction. No, I'm just kidding. And he's going to be out for weeks. Great move, Dallas. You have 2 superstars in your team, him and Kyrie, and they're both injured all the time. Why not just trade for Joel Embiid while you're at it and complete the trifecta of off-injured players? Sorry, Joel, don't come looking for me. Just making a point. And I did have a gig that went reasonably well on Friday. We're doing these monthly gigs at Bel Posto restaurant in Wantaw.
Nice.
Small, cozy restaurant, very good food, great crowd, and good time. And like 2 minutes from my house.
Oh, that's
all
good.
the things.
Convenient. Get home quickly.
I get home very quickly, and I feel bad. My partner lives about 20, 25 minutes away.
Why do I have a feeling you may have done that?
Well, no,
Purposely.
The secret to getting gigs for me is go to the same restaurants a lot, and then they say, "Hey, you looking for live music?"
Yeah.
And they'll feel guilty, and they'll have to give me one because I go there a lot, and that's how I've been able to get 3 regular gigs.
Yeah. There's actually this restaurant Grasso's in Cold Spring Harbor. They
Yes,
do live music.
they do jazz there.
Great.
Yeah,
I don't know if you've ever been, but
it's
really
it's
good.
a little far from me, but there aren't a lot of places that do jazz anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And we're coming to you as always from Studio 1873, decorated by our buds at the Everset.
This beautiful set here at Studio 1873 is brought to you by the Everset. The Everset provides full-service staging and furniture rental solutions in the New York area. For more information, please visit us at staging.theeverset.com or email us at staging@theeverset.com to request a free proposal.
Hi, we're Ron and Kara Shovlin, owners of Shovlin Mattress Factory.
For over 50 years, we've crafted 100% USA-made mattresses right behind our showroom. From custom sizes to chiropractor-approved options, we've got your perfect sleep solution. So check out our 5-star reviews or come visit our showroom.
And we're back. Okay, so what's first on the agenda this week, Morgan?
First on the agenda is jobs report.
So, this is the biggest moment every month for us economists.
Yes.
Well,
This
those
is
of
our
us-
Super Bowl.
Not really. Maybe if there were 12 Super Bowls a year, the Jets might be able to win one, but you gotta be in it to win it, and the Jets are never in it. But they are moving away from Aaron Rodgers. That was announced or leaked.
Or is Aaron Rodgers moving away from that?
Either way, I don't care.
I think that's the question.
You could say he still
True.
got it. You could say he's an all-time great, but they're not winning games with him. So
So it's just not working.
new regime, they want their people in.
Yep.
So this, usually we're in here scratching our heads because these jobs reports, except for the hurricane and Boeing strike month, have been blow away numbers better than expected. This was actually less than expected. We were looking for 169,000 jobs. The increase was 143,000. So now people are going to go, Greg, this is what you're hoping for. You say we got to slow down. We got to see hiring slow, but don't be deceived by the headline number. We say this all the time about a lot of these reports. We talked about GDP last week and saying that, you can't look at that headline number because consumer spending was really strong. In this case, 143,000 jobs, which is less than the 12-month average of 166,000 jobs. So that tells you, okay, so it's not great. But every month when the jobs report comes out, they revise the prior 2 months. So this was November and December were revised. A lot of times, in fact, most times, they're downward revisions, subtracting jobs. They got too happy, added too many. But this went the other way. 100,000 jobs were added if you add up November and December together. So if the number wasn't as strong as expected, that is a big part of it because your comparison is to a much higher number.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens next month when the January numbers are revised. There's a good chance it could go up. Who knows? That's the fun part about this. The data is always changing. Imagine if they did that with like sporting events. It's like, we looked back at the Super Bowl and we decided it was a lot closer than we thought.
Yeah, than it was, right? It changed the course of history.
So another, strong-ish note was the unemployment rate dipped to 4%. Not a big decline, but
Yes, it did.
it went down.
It did,
Now,
which is good.
that is good, right?
Yeah.
And remember that the household survey, when they call Morgan up and say, are you working? And she says, of course, have you met my boss? They go, okay, great. And if you're not working, they ask you if you are looking for a job because you're not unemployed unless you're actually looking. So the household survey gives us the unemployment rate. The payroll survey gives us basically everything else that we talk about here, the number of jobs, wages, and the such.
Exactly.
And speaking of wages, they were up 0.5%. in January, which is really good for a 1 month gain.
Yeah, very good.
And 4.1% over the last year, both higher than forecast. So, for all the talk about a softening of the labor market, wages are up 4.1%. Compare that to the fact that prices, as measured by the CPI index, up 2.9%. So wages still rising faster than prices, which explains why consumer spending is so high.
Yep.
Are you raising your spending because of this phenomenon?
Maybe a little bit.
Okay.
My sister's bachelorette was this weekend, so spending was definitely at an all-time high.
Well, you got to party like it's 1999.
I knew you were going to say that for some reason.
I did, we go back to the same old jokes a lot. We hope people haven't gone back and rewatched the early ones so we can use those jokes.
Hey, they're still funny. Or maybe I'm just new.
Oh, were they funny the first time? We don't even know. We'll have to have someone from Standards and Practices tell us, like, don't use that one again. It's
True.
It's worn out. Well, that is a nice time, and congratulations to your sister.
Thank you.
That's a fun time.
It was a lot of fun. She did a lot of like spa treatments and stuff. That was very much her preference. So
see, keeping the economy going. We love it.
Exactly.
That is great. Job growth in January led by healthcare. We've talked about why we don't like that. We don't want to see the top employment increases in government or government-supported industries. But retail was second with 34,000 job gain, which is good considering it's right after the holiday.
Yeah,
they tend
exactly.
to be letting people go.
Yep.
Just to go back quickly to something we talked about, these benchmark revisions. In August, they had revised the 12 months leading up to March of last year and found that they overestimated by 818,000 jobs. Me and Scott Nadler had a lot of fun with that at the time.
I'm sure.
That's been modified. Now is only 589,000 overcounted jobs. Sorry for those people who disappeared. But, again, these are... There's a lot of estimates and adjustments that go into this monthly data. And when the more complete data comes in, they're going to do these benchmark revisions. So headline number, not so exciting. Like, okay, we less than forecast. Maybe that's kind of what we want. But then you say, well, the prior 2 months are up 100,000. The unemployment rate went down and wages are still strong. And you go, actually, that's still pretty strong, right?
Yeah.
And, and layoffs still very low, and that's a key sort of leading indicator. We keep hearing about layoffs, a lot of tech firms laying off people. Yeah. Right. And it's a little harder to get a job than it used to be, but it's not very hard if the unemployment rate is 4%.
I feel like the numbers aren't necessarily reflecting people's experiences so much. And
how so?
Well, I feel like we have talked about this before, but definitely at the end of the year, you see a lot of layoffs happening because companies just need to make quotas and they need to cut expenses at the end of the year. So then turnover in January, you would then see maybe layoffs going down and people getting jobs more and stuff like that at the beginning of the year, and maybe one being a result of the other, which I think is a lot of what we're seeing now, and possibly because of the numbers. Well,
this is confounded economists. Like, it's hard to confuse us. I mean, some of us anyway. There's been times where we've been reading a lot about layoffs over the last couple of years, and then it doesn't show up in the initial claims numbers.
Yeah.
And there's a number of reasons for that. One, initial claims is never meant to be like an official government statistic. It's basically compiling data from all the states, unemployment offices, and treating it like it's official government data. Also, people getting severance packages, so that gives them the bridge so they don't have to file for unemployment, or maybe they're retiring at that point.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're finding jobs fast enough. I think the problem is there's been a change, over the last 6 months or so, where it's not incredibly easy to find a job to the point where Morgan will say, Greg, I quit. And I'll go find another job like by the end of today.
Yeah.
Now it's more normal,
not.
right? Now your generation is, the Gen Zers. And I need to know this because my son will be looking for a job in 4.5 years.
Yes, definitely.
Hopefully he'll graduate college by then.
Sure he will.
No, he will. He may even have a master's.
Yeah, he's a very smart kid.
Well, he gets it from his mother. No,
I walked into that one. I walked into that
one. So what do you hear with your friends? You know, are a lot of them frustrated, or are they finding it easy to get a job?
No, I think a lot of people are frustrated. I do. I think that also this sort of, I mean, if you go up based off of like me and kind of my timeline and my friends and, you know, kind of what we talk about is our experiences of being, having jobs like right out of college and, you know, being able to get those and feeling confident and lucky and really feeling good about it, I guess feeling good about the market, and then hitting these sort of like 3-year kind of slumps at where you are and really feeling like you need an adjustment, or you need to change it up, or you want to be challenged further or something like that. And then you kind of get into the field of, you know, putting yourself out there and looking and seeing what's out there and feeling almost a sense of like being behind, and then being like, okay, maybe I should just stay where I am if, you know, because I have such a fear or a barrier to entry of going into the job market. So I wouldn't say that, I think that it's been worse. I think everything, you know, at one point has always been worse, but I wouldn't say that it's like the best and that people are feeling the most confident right now.
Well, I think like I graduated in 1992. Mm-hmm. There was a recession going on. Not a great time to be an economist. You think that's when they need economists. Mm-hmm. And I had to go work for the federal government. And, you know, I actually did a paper in grad school saying that, you know, most people stay at their first job about 3 years, and the data kind of showed that.
Yeah.
Because that's when you sort of, like you mentioned, you get a feel for maybe this isn't for me. Mm-hmm. Or that's when like your so-called apprenticeship is up. After 3 years, you know what you're doing, and then you get a better job. Yeah. And that's what happened to me. I worked at Rebney, and then 8 years, and then I've been here like since before you were born. No, it's not that long, but you know, it'll be 22 years later this year. Wow. So I get the frustration. I didn't want to work for the federal government. Mm-hmm. It's like I'm just wasting years here. Yeah. It's kind of like buying a home. You know, people say, I'm never going to be able to afford a home. I said the same thing when I was 22 and making like $25,000 a year, because that's what an entry-level economist at BLS made. So, I mean, some of the things have always been hard to find the right career path. You'll go back when you're older and you'll look and see the randomness of how you got where you ultimately ended up. Yeah. If I hadn't bumped into that person, if I hadn't, in my case, played computer baseball with a bunch of nerds at work, I wouldn't have known about the job at Rebney and got recommended for it. Yeah. It's a random series of events sometimes, just like how you meet people. Mm-hmm. So definitely. To Gen Zers out there, believe in yourself, work hard, and it usually works out okay.
I like that advice. That's good advice.
At a young age, you know,
I needed that.
You want to know like what your life's going to look like, and it takes time. I didn't think of for me it wasn't until my 30s when I thought like I kind of got things figured out. Okay, I'm married, I got a decent job, you know, and that's when a lot of stuff happened for me. Sometimes it happens before, sometimes it happens after.
Especially in the age of social media where so many people are putting their lives out there and it looks like everyone has it all together and all figured out all the time, that if you're like, whereas, you know, years ago, that wasn't the case. You didn't have everyone posting about their life and, you know, the endless pit of comparison. But now I think it's, you know, just another added layer for like Gen Zers. It makes it tough.
Well, nobody's going to post on social media and go, hey, everything's okay.
Nope, definitely not.
It's like if we release a report and it's like, yeah, the market's okay. The press doesn't care. Yeah, right? Exactly. So, you know, it's either people jumping up and down or crying their eyes out. You know, it's
exactly
drama sells.
100%.
All right, we're going to talk about what this means for Fed cuts. I guess you can guess what it may mean, but we're going to do that right after this message from our good friends at CrossCountry Mortgage.
Your dream home is closer than you think. I'm Scott Nadler, VP of Mortgage Lending at CrossCountry Mortgage, and I'm here to get you the perfect loan to match your perfect home. From first-time home buyers to seasoned homeowners, I've helped clients make their moves with confidence. Ready for a smooth, stress-free home buying experience? Let's get you moving today. Call me and let's turn those dreams into keys.
All right, and we're back. So we have this employment report that on the surface looks like it's exactly what we want to hear, but then you realize maybe not. What does this mean for Fed rate cuts? See what happens when you film on Monday morning? I don't think it changes the Fed's plan. They have a meeting next month, but I don't think rate cuts are even on the table till at a minimum the second half of this year if they cut it all. You have an unemployment rate of 4%. You're adding a decent amount of jobs. Consumer spending is incredibly strong. Wages are growing faster than prices. Inflation is not moving in the right direction. All that tells me you'd be even dumber than you were when you let inflation get out of control like this to start rate cutting again. Remember, they planned a whole % of rate cuts for this year too.
Yeah.
Now, the one thing we will get in March is their updated economic projections. That's when they basically say what they're thinking. And that'll give us their forecast for GDP, inflation, unemployment, and how many rate cuts they're going to give this year. So we'll see about that. I can't imagine they do anything for a long time until they need to see a more improvement in inflation. Yeah. And for that to happen, we can't have wages growing over 1% more than prices for forever. It's good because it's hard for people to afford things. It took about 4 years of rising prices.
Yeah, for a long time.
And even when inflation comes down, prices are still going up because that's disinflation, not deflation. So I don't think it changes anything. We said last week that it would take a really bad jobs report for the possibility of a rate cut. This is not that bad, especially when you look at a lowering unemployment rate and wages growing faster than expected. All right, so let's get some really good news. Mortgage rates fell for the third straight week.
Yes, they did.
Not a lot, but we don't care. We celebrate.
Yeah, no, we celebrate small wins here. We're a big fan of small wins. And it's a good sign for home buyers, first-time home buyers.
Or anytime home buyers. Yes.
Very true, but going into spring, I guess it's a good
sign
for them.
It's a time where people think about it. I do think there's this acceptance of the fact that mortgage rates are what they are and don't expect them to change much because as our buddy, Scott Nadler, has a rule named after him. I was dumb enough to name it after him. I should have named it after myself.
Yeah, seriously.
Rates go up a lot faster than they go down. And we certainly saw that last year in October. They just started to take off like a rocket after basically touching 6%.
Yeah.
It just reached out and 6 just shot up to 7.
Yep.
And I think the problem is that NAR just came out with a report that 90% of U.S. markets saw home price growth in the fourth quarter. That's great for those homeowners, not so great for those buyers out there who are facing still low levels of inventory, which is driving prices up even at a time where mortgage rates have been going up. So I think it's important to remember what we always talk about, especially when Scott's on. Talk to a professional. It's not always a 30-year mortgage, that's best for you.
Yeah.
There are options, buying down rates, interest only, different options and concessions that you can have. See what works best for you. It's never been super easy to buy a home. It wasn't easy for me. It's not easy. Now I know, well, rates weren't this. Rates were 6 3/4 when I bought my home. So they were only a little bit lower than where they are now. They're sitting at 6.89 right now, the conforming mortgage rate. So, it's just going to take a lot of discipline and planning. And most of your big purchases in life are going to do that. But we were talking before we came out here about inflation. You had some thoughts on this you were going to share. Do you remember?
What I was going to say regarding inflation?
Yeah, did we have something we wanted to say about inflation? I should have wrote it down. So I'm too lazy to type on my iPad.
Well, I mean, I was going to say that they said that economists actually.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this was the point about expectations, right? Was that?
Yes. I don't know if chief economist Greg Heym would say this, but economists are saying, thanks, Ray. But economists are saying that we shouldn't be concerned about inflation now unless the market-based data in the long run urges us to be concerned about it. So what's going on right now? They're saying that we don't have to be too worried about it, but if it continues like this for like 6 months, then we do need to start being concerned about it.
If the person saying that waves his hand like he's doing the Jedi mind trick, then maybe be concerned. I think one of the things is that you see consumer sentiment, which came out last week. People are worried about inflation. All this talk of tariffs has people worried. Yeah. And if they listen to the podcast, they wouldn't be as worried. first of all, are these negotiating ploys? It looks like with Canada and Mexico, they were. We'll see if that agreement goes past the month that they've agreed not to do it. Although there were just a new tariff announced this morning on steel and aluminum, which, we'll see. The markets, it was kind of leaked over the weekend, so I think people were prepared for it.
Yeah.
It wasn't like they came out of nowhere. But just remember that tariffs raise the price of specific goods that are being tariffed, But it doesn't mean if there's a 25% tariff, it's 25% more expensive. As we mentioned here before, the company can eat the cost of the tariff or part of it.
Yeah.
If the value of the dollar goes up, that good becomes cheaper. And again, they may never happen. I think that when there's an unknown out there, no matter what it is, weather or contests, as we like to refer to them here, it can, people want certainty. Guess what? You never get it. The only certainty I can give you is the Jets are never going to win a Super Bowl. That I 100% can give you.
Always got to take a knock at the Jets. Like, they've had enough. They're tired.
They've been knocking me forever. Give me a break. I mean, come on. Now, but anyhow.
So you would say there's no reason to be nervous about the data that's not there yet?
I don't think, we don't want to live in fear of the future.
Yeah.
We want to plan for the future and be in the best position we can be. And I think that should be the focus going forward, because there's always going to be something that's going to have people concerned. I try to explain to my son when he talks about all the things he has to worry about. I said, in the 80s, we used to have to do air raid drills. We were worried about nuclear war. Like, they made movies about it. Remember the day after, Ray? You said, yeah, right? That was scary. It's like, wait, can that really happen? I guess it can. There are a couple thousand ICBMs out there that can. Yeah. I mean, there's been a lot of things that could really scare you if you worry about it. But I believe in yourself and be prepared, and that's the best you can do. We can't, even parents can't give their kids certainty other than if you don't do this, you're going to be punished. That's certainty. But my son going to find a job when he graduates college? Am I going to have to hire him? There's a lot of. Am I still going to be employed? Is the company going to hire him to replace me? Same Greg Heym? I was like, oh, this is Junior? I didn't know that. What's the difference? Who knows? I'm not trying to make light of it. I know consumers are really been buried under this inflation for a while. And, it looked like we were finally getting away from it, and then we've stalled. Yeah. I always said, we're in the red zone. In football, it's very hard to score inside the 20 when the ball's there. Yeah. Short field. Again, another thing the Jets don't do well, or add that to the long list. But that's defenses get tighter. It's tougher a lot of times again, and that's where we're sitting right now in the red zone. We've been there too long. Yeah, we want to get out. We want to get in that end zone and spike that football and see Morgan's touchdown dance, because nobody wants to see mine. Don't make me dance. I will not. I think there's probably rules against that. Do we have podcast rules, Lena? Are there rules against that? Absolutely. Yeah. All right. If Lena says it, I'll have to believe it. So to Gen Z and every generation out there that's worried about the future, you just got to, what's that old expression? The future's a mystery. The past is history. Today's a gift. That's why they call it the present. Yep. There it is. There you go. I love stealing stuff from other people. It saves me so much time. That was beautiful. All right. Now we have this final thing. And we talked a little bit about this about a year ago, but this got a little more specific, and it has to deal with working remote. Yes. Working remote. Okay. So a couple of researchers from Harvard, Johns Hopkins, and University of Illinois, I guess decent colleges, right? Yes. I have two brothers that are Hopkins grads. I wasn't smart enough to go. Oh, really? I didn't know that. That's great. Yeah, it was good for them. Hey, no knocks on St. John's. No, hey, thanks for reminding me. St. John's, baby. St. John's. Be two ranked teams, two ranked Big East teams. Yep. Show some respect and put us in the top 5 already. I don't know why they're keeping us. I guess they don't like Pitino.
What do you really need to know about buying or selling a home? First, it's serious business. and it's complicated. There's a lot of money on the table, and emotion too. You need an agent who knows the ropes. So, whether you're buying or selling your home, work with professionals who have a mastery of the craft.
So they went and asked people, like, how much of a pay cut would you take to have some remote work? Not even fully remote.
Yeah.
And 40% said at least 5%. It's like, oh, that's very nice of you, 5%. It's not a lot to forego to not have to commute, to not have to.
Yeah, exactly. But some people said at least 20.
Right. So about 9% said at least 20. Mm-hmm. So what's your number on this? How much pay cut are you going to take?
Probably like 10%. You know, it's difficult. I think the perspective is I entered the workforce in this day and age where like working from home was already into what you were doing. And so I feel like a lot of people my age it's like they don't know any different. And I know that there is different because my parents love to remind me, my sisters love to remind me, my boss loves to remind me, okay. But I'm like, it's
boss sounds like a wonderful guy.
But it's very so it's all we know. So then I think a lot of people, as we transition back into how it used to be and how, you know, the normalcy, a lot of people are now trying to figure out ways to be like, okay, well, how can I maintain this part of my life? Because I really value it and I value my time at home and it works for me really well. And a lot of people don't like change too much.
Well, change and uncertainty, you know, that's the thing. All right.
Yep.
What's your number, Lena?
I would
and remember, HR is watching.
I would say if it's still a hybrid role, maybe 5%. If it's a fully remote role, then maybe 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're way off. It should be much higher if you're going to get fully remote. Ray, you got an opinion on this? No, Ray's like, I got to come in. I can't film remote. I got to be. Ray actually sleeps in the studio. We have a bed over here for him, and he's good. The interesting thing is, and this could get us into trouble trying to discuss, women were more willing to forego 20% or more of their salary.
Yes,
is that just because they appreciate the finer things in life, or maybe they have children that they're the primary caregiver of? I don't know. They didn't ask any follow-up questions that I saw, but you know, that was interesting. You know, but so you may be giving up part of your salary, but according to an economics professor at Stanford, so we're bringing in every fancy school that wouldn't accept me, that workers see the ability to work from home is kind of like getting a raise, right? Because it's money you don't have to spend on commuting, eating out, and pants.
Yeah, they're equating the two.
You don't have to have pants if you're working remotely. And that's an interesting topic that a lot of companies are still struggling with. Like Wall Street is like, get back in here or else. Yeah. You may have heard that federal government workers have been told something similar. Yeah. You know, the companies' office space here in Manhattan, the office market's kind of back to where it was for at least for the Class A buildings in terms of, you know, occupancy rates and rents. There's been a flight to quality, but, you know, and when you're paying Park Avenue rents or whatever part of the city it is, the company wants you to come in.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think that people did take advantage of being able to live anywhere. Mm-hmm. But now it's like, guess what? You may have to move. You may have to, you know, see your boss in person up close, you know, a couple times a week. Yeah. I know we should pay you more for that. I get it. Okay. But, you know, it's...
I see both sides of it. You know, I see why people want to stay home. I see why they value staying home and it's such a luxury. And then I see why it's also important to be in the office and why companies are valuing that and like making it so people have to come back 5 days now, you know, because they really want, like they talked about in how people are coming back and feeling way more connected to their coworkers and way more connected to mentoring opportunities and with people, you know, connecting with people in their offices rather than being at home does isolate you from that. It makes
I never realized how much I miss Ray until I was separated from him. It was, and then this vision came to me and said, you're going to do a podcast and you're going to see Ray every Monday, except federal holidays. And you're just going to bond and be reunited and hear that song all the time. And it feels so good. See, because me and Ray are old enough to know that. Lena's laughing. So she must know that song.
I know that song.
Well, everybody knows. It's a great song. We don't want to admit we like it, but it's a little.
It's a great song.
It's
I thought you were going to sing for a second. I thought you were going to.
No, I unless you're going to do the duet with me, but
all right, moving on.
See? Yeah, it's all talk until it's like, all right, you got a microphone in front of you. Let's do it. But it's something that we're still trying to work out. And like you said, there's a lot of people that make a lot of money just posting social media videos and doing their things, and they don't have to go near an office.
No, they don't, and a lot of them are making a lot more than people who have spent their whole life in offices 5 days a week.
I know humble economists that went to grad school and did it right.
So hard.
And we do very good here in terms of the views, but it's not millions of views or millions of dollars unless somebody's embezzling the money. We got to look into that.
No, the epidemic of content creation. I think that we're not even like scratching the surface right now of what that's going to mean, for all of the things that we're talking about here today, like wages and, unemployment rates.
Well, you're going to be our futurist who's going to tell us.
That's what I'm here for,
Well, somebody's got to know because, I'm too busy looking at data and crunching numbers all day long. But look, there's always been an entrepreneurial wing of the economy that a lot of, when we were kids, it was like direct mail. Yeah. Like these direct mail people. Or people used to go door to door and sell things. Now Sebastian Maniscalco does a whole thing on this. Now you're angry when the doorbell rings. Like, why is the doorbell ringing? Who's coming to see me?
That's so
used to
true.
be excited when the door. I go, who is it? Is it a company?
That's so true.
Now it's like now you got the ring doorbell, so you can see it's him. Everybody hit the ground. Like don't knock over anything. You see them coming like a mile away. That's very true. Yeah, my son hates it because I know exactly what time he gets home.
Oh yeah.
I'm pretty fair with the curfew.
Yeah.
So look, he realizes that in September he'll be upstate somewhere and I won't even know what he's doing at any given moment. Unless I have my niece spy on him because she only lives, if he winds up at Buffalo, she lives right near there. When he makes his decision, we'll have the reveal. It's a couple of schools. He's still trying to decide.
That's really exciting.
It's like, for me and my wife, it's like pick already. We got to get all the swag. I want the swag of whatever school it is.
He's got to feel it out. Which one's right for him? What he's excited
It's
about.
a leap of faith, though. It's like anything other major decision in your life. You can do all your homework. You can do all the research. At the end of the day, you got to go there with the attitude that, like, this is going to work, and I'm going to put 100% behind this.
You won't know until you're there and you're loving it. And then you'll be like, oh, I want to stay.
You better be loving it for what it costs, let me tell you. Anyhow, well, that, I think, is it for this week. Time flies when we're having fun.
I know.
Talking about employment data and how much money we're going to forego to not come to the office.
Yeah, riveting stuff.
Yes. Well, look, the MTA keeps hiking fares.
Yeah, it's $3 now, right?
I don't know.
I think it's $3.
I don't take the subway.
Well, yeah, I take the subway to and from work every day. It was $2.60. Now it's $3.
Well, because they have these capital budgets that have tens of billions of dollars of shortfalls.
It's like it's crazy. It costs you $6 every day, and then you get $30 a week.
Well, see, I get a monthly train ticket, which is insanely priced.
I need to listen to you. I need to listen to Greg Heym more.
Yes, you get those tips to
save money.
No, don't listen to me. So we'll come up with the best ideas that we can.
Yeah, and we'll report back.
Anyhow, a shout out to our friends at Canaletto, where I like to lunch, and they do offer, if we have any special guests, they get free lunch there. 208 East 60th Street, phenomenal Italian food, phenomenal service. I'll be there 5 minutes after we finish this, and make sure you tell them that Greg sent you. And again, sorry, no show next week, but again, that's because I'm smart enough to pick Monday as my filming day, so we do get the most time off.
Yes.
But thank you to Ray and Lena and Morgan for coming in this week. The first time it's just been us.
I know. Thank you for having me.
She's still smiling, so that's good. Well, you'll be back. Don't worry, she'll be back. Tune in. I'm not going to tell you which weeks because honestly, I don't know.
Yeah.
But once we find out, we'll let you know. And again, to the viewers and listeners out there, can't thank you enough for supporting the show. Have a great week, and thanks for crossing the line with us.